How's it going, everyone? I've made quite a bit of ranked content on this channel, but I really haven't shown you the deck list I've used to get as high as I have in Pokemon Pocket Rank. So today I want to show you my favorite decks, the decks that I have been bouncing between, not only to get to Master Ball, but to continually propel myself forward well into the top 1000 position. Now, if you guys are enjoying the ranked content, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. Well over 70% of you are not subscribed, so I know I'm talking to you. All right, press the sub button. I appreciate it. Thanks. Real quick before I jump into the deck list, I just want to show you guys what does it look like at the top of Master Ball. What are the decks I run into? And this is in no order of how good they are. This is in order purely on how often am I playing against them. These are the decks I see in Master Ball. Out of my entire time in Master Ball, these are basically the only decks. Once every 100 games, I'll run into like a Pikachu or something, but this is mainly what I'm seeing. Majority GiraTina Darkrai, Rampardos, Gyarados, and this GiraTina Mewtwo. These are like the majorities. This is like what you'll queue into 80% of the time, and then you'll start hitting like one of these other decks every so often. MagSkarm is also fairly well played. A lot of Arceus Carnivine popping up, as well as Magnezone Skarmory. These two have kind of just started being a thing in the meta. I'm seeing them more and more. Gallade has fallen off a cliff. I have not played against the Gallade in a while. I don't think I played against one Gallade all day yesterday, and I was degenning like crazy. So no Gallade. You run into an Articuno one every like 35 games, and I always boom it, so bad deck, stop playing it. Darkrai Weavile, again, I don't see it in Master Ball tier, like ever. I don't know if you guys are still running into it in your Ultra Balls, Great Balls, whatever. In Master Ball, it is pretty much nowhere to be found. The only time I run into it is when I go on tilt and I queue up GiraTina Darkrai, and then I run into Darkrai Weavile. So there's some going on. I'm noticing something. Not a lot of Charizard, which is very surprising because I think the deck is super strong. Darkrai Magnezone has started to crop up, and Darkrai Greninja has started to crop up as well. These are, I played against like one or two of each of them. Not very common. You don't see them a lot. And I think that's because these two might start going up because they like to sit behind Drudigans. Dude, there's not a lot of Hitmonlee around. When I talk about the Rampardos I run into, it's majority Rampardos Lucario, not Rampardos Hitmonlee. There's not a lot of Hitmonlee going on, so Drudigan stuff might start to go up in popularity again. But on Master Ball, in the Master Ball tier, playing a deck that has a weakness to Hitmonlee is pretty safe right now. There's not a lot of it going around. Just got to post-proof flex a little bit before we get into it. Yeah, number 284. Not so bad. Going for top 100. Trying to hold it once we get there. Haven't seen it yet. I'm still about 100 points away from making top 100, so you know, it's going to take a bit, but let's get into the first deck list I want to show you guys, and that's Gallade, because I get a lot of questions on Gallade. I was a big Gallade player. At this point, I don't think Gallade is very good anymore, because the main deck you're going to run into, again, is like GiraTina Darkrai, GiraTina Mewtwo, whatever. They have a lot more healing than they did at the start of the meta. They now don't sit behind Drudigans, none of that stuff. And because of that, the Gallade matchup has kind of tanked. Not only is it an uphill battle for you, but you're also a stage 2. And just getting that stage 2 doesn't immediately set you up for the win. You have to play at your best every time you're playing against Darkrai GiraTina. And just the deck's natural inconsistencies are going to result in it being a worse matchup for you than it is for them. So I'm pretty much fully off of Gallade right now. I haven't really seen a fix to it because there's not really a fix we can add to our opponent going, all right, I just got Hitmonlee, Pokemon Center lady, throw a cape on it, no damage done. You know, it blocks my Cyrus plays, blocks pretty much everything, blocks Gallade being able to one-shot. A Darkrai with a cape, if I don't have a helmet on, is super hard to deal with. I would need to put like a red in here and get my opponent to attack into whatever has the Rocky helmet, and then use a red, and then I can one-shot I can, you know, respawn KO the Darkrai. It's really, really tough for Gallade right now. Maybe there's a list out there that can get there and crack it, but I'm not interested in testing Gallade in Master Ball tier and losing a bunch of points doing so. So I have not seen a list that I'm like still impressed with. Not the biggest fan using Gallade to grind Master Ball points. It's -10 for a loss. It's +10 for a win. You know, if I'm Only winning 50%, I'm not getting anywhere. So, yeah, this is the Gallade list I used to get as high as I did. I used a lot of Gallade to get to Master Ball, but now that I'm in Master Ball, I've sort of gone away from him as the meta has developed, as these lists have changed. And I said that since the beginning. I said, Gallade is good right now, but GiraTina Darkrai can do things to make this matchup bad for us. If they start putting in more healing than what they're playing right now at the start of the meta, things are not going to get good for Gallade. They took the Druddigans out. They added a couple more heals. The matchup is now not fun as a Gallade player. So here's the list. If you guys still want to play Gallade, if you're grinding out those lower tiers, you might run into some not as good players. They might have weird lists that aren't teched for Gallade. Then you can accomplish it. Things will be fine. But up in Master Ball, it's just not a safe place for Gallade anymore. We got to talk about Meowscarada. I have 2 Meowscarada decks for you. This first one I'm showing you is like the honorable mention Meowscarada, the classic Meowscarada you're used to running into or maybe playing yourself. This is Meowscarada Beedrill. So the benefit of Meowscarada Beedrill is you have this third attacker in the Beedrill. And one thing I've done different than other lists, I can't remember what card exactly I took out from like the standard 60. I think, oh, it was a Pokemon communication. I added the second cape. The second cape is disgusting in Meowscarada. I think Meowscarada should just be playing 2 giant cape. It is so ridiculous. And the cape blocks your opponent from being able to one-shot your Meowscarada in return with a Giratina plus a Darkrai ping from a Gyarados if you didn't hit into a cape. I really like double cape in Meowscarada. I think it is a necessity at this point. I don't like looking for my one of cape, and having 2 Meowscaradas caped is so scary for your opponent's EX decks. Now, the big strength of this deck is you can do a ton of damage. You're able to one-shot, like, basically every EX that matters. Giratina, after it attacks, will put it right into one-shot range with a red if they have a cape on. And then the Beedrill here is basically just, like, the third attacker, because sometimes you run out of Meowscaradas. You might use that one Sprigatito solely as the setup, get all my goobers card. Sprigatito will get all the grass Pokemon, then you're building up 1 Meowscarada and 1 Beedrill, and those 2 are going to have to carry you through the game. Beedrill is also fantastic into... Oh, no, that's what I took out. The Team Rocket Grunt. I took out the Team Rocket Grunt. Beedrill is also fantastic into Gyarados, because if Gyarados attacks, discards the energy from itself, Beedrill just comes up and discards another one, and now here's a Gyarados stuck in the active spot. It's very rare that they'll have, 2 Gyarados set up so they can just go attach the Gyarados, retreat into the new one. It usually never happens. Not something you have to worry about. If they high roll, it happens. It's whatever. But yeah, Beedrill is fantastic for the Gyarados matchup specifically. I think the matchup is fine without Beedrill. Again, I have a list I'm more partial to. I've been having more fun with another Meowscarada variant, but this one is still very, very good. Meowscarada is just super strong. There are games where you can go Sprigatito, evolve into Florgato, evolve into Meowscarada, red. Okay, I won. Just that simple. You don't even have to cry for help. If the cards are in your hand, you can kind of ignore it and just go for that play line and win. You'll knock out whatever they're building up in the active spot fast, and they kind of can't do anything from there. So Meowscarada is fantastic. It's a great counter pick. Its only weakness is that it's a little bit inconsistent. It can get run off the board. Like, there are some scary decks going around for it. You'll run into Skarmory Magnezone. You'll run into Arceus Carnivine, and they're just doing 50 damage from their first turn. That's going to require you to go Sprigatito, use an Erica just to save it, and you're using all of your heals just on the Sprigatito so you can keep crying for help. But if you can survive those couple turns, the matchup turns very, very good for you. Not a lot your opponent can do once you have the Meowscarada set up. You just have to survive the initial onslaught. I also don't love starting Weedle. Weedle is not great. We don't have any pivot, so if you start Weedle and you go first, you're now going to be so many turns behind. You're not going to be using Sprigatito's Cry for Help. You're not going to be delaying your opponent in any way. If you evolve into Kakuna to start using String Shot, well, now you have 2 retreat, so you'd have to attach again just to get into the Sprigatito. Yeah, I don't... The Weedle start is really the only thing that puts me off. It's like you start Weedle and you're stuck there. You're stuck there. There's nothing you can do. But it's still a great deck. I still use it quite often. It's one of my more played decks in the Master Ball tier, because if I feel like I'm hitting a lot of Giratina Darkrai, all right, I'm playing some Meowscarada because I need to start punishing these decks. Let's talk about the cooler Meowscarada. We finally have a use for Wigglytuff, and this deck feels awesome, okay? If you start the Jigglypuff, not a big deal because you have the Sing attack. There have been so many games where I am playing against my opponent. Maybe it's a Gyarados deck, and I start Jigglypuff, and I just go, all right, Sing on the Manaphy. You're not doing anything. You're not powering up your Pokemon. Buys me a turn to just retreat into the Sprigatito and start using Cry for Help. The Wigglytuff healing that 20 damage is huge. You can heal 70 in one turn through Wigglytuff plus Erica. It's going to keep your Meowscaradas healthy, especially with those double capes. They're just going to consistently be out of damage range. You can use the Wigglytuff as a way to, you'll see it so often. You'll be playing against GiraTina Darkrai, and they'll try to leave you with just like 10 HP. So next turn, they can go Darkrai Ping, GiraTina Swing, potentially, you know, damage another Pokemon or knock it out. Wigglytuff is going to stop that. Wigglytuff is going to keep Meowscarada out of Darkrai Ping every time. It's great. Also, Wigglytuff is an important attacker. He actually is. I attack with Wigglytuff all the time. There are a lot of games that come down to my one Meowscarada took a 2 prize. My second Meowscarada can't quite get through it, but I'm able to set up my opponent in a way that Wigglytuff is going to come in and do just that last little bit of damage. That's all you need. Meowscarada puts out so much damage that really all you need is like that last little poke to get through and win the game. You can use that Meowscarada, attack. If they retreat out of there, you've kept your Cyrus, you go Cyrus, and you knock them out with this disgusting Wigglytuff artwork. I'm sure I've been ruining days with it, man. I cannot imagine losing a game to that Wigglytuff. I can't imagine. Look at this guy. Look at this guy, man. Yeah, but it's great. Like, and because we don't play the Beedrill, we have a little bit more space for some cooler cards. We have both the Sabrina and the Cyrus, which I love. We're only playing one red, and honestly, it's felt fine. You need some time to like you'll have the red when you need the red is what I'm getting at. Meowscarada one can just be, and because we have so much more healing, we last longer. We stay in the game longer. I also love that we're not playing any more grass Pokemon than just the Meowscaradas, so the Sprigatito very consistently can find both of your Meowscarada lines. It just feels great. I love this deck. This is my favorite Meowscarada variant by far. Like, I have no issues with it. I just love it. It's so much fun. Give this one a try if you have not already. It's a fantastic list. Great deck. Yeah, I can't say more nice things about it. I get questions on these decks all the time, so I'll show them off. They're pretty standard. The GiraTina Mewtwo, and then I'll show you the GiraTina Darkrai. These decks are these are not what I mainly use to grind at all. These decks are I feel like I'm getting really bad variants right now, and I just need something consistent. So I will, if I'm having a few bad games in a row, I'm not quite drawing what I need, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, all right, just give me the deck that's all basics and is going to do the same thing every game, and we'll try to win a few like that. Really, the main reason why I stay off of these is because I don't enjoy Darkrai GiraTina mirror matches or Darkrai Mewtwo mirror matches, and there's so many of them. Like, it's just not a fun time for me, so I don't play it. But the list, I mean, super standard. The only real interesting thing here, I guess, is the 1-1 split of red to Giovanni, which I like. I like having the option for the Giovanni. Again, I just showed you a Meowscarada list with 2 capes. It's nice to know that my Mewtwo can knock out a Meowscarada with a cape, and the Giovanni doesn't really, you know, make things bad for you. I mean, the Giovanni's still gonna let GiraTina get a one-shot on a what is it called, on a Darkrai without a cape, so that's fine. Yeah, this is the list I like to use when I'm rage queuing, when I'm on tilt and just need something simple. And now let's go over to the Darkrai variant. Again, standard list. I don't think I've made a single change to this deck since I don't know, since the beginning, like since I first built it. We're rocking, you know, a bunch of heals. I like the 1 Pokemon Center Lady and the 2 Potion. It feels good. The only thing I would want room for in here is a Mars. That's about it. Maybe take out 1 Leaf for a Mars, something. I don't know. Again, I don't experiment with it. I just, if I'm on tilt, I pick up the deck and I play it, but I would love a Mars in here. Mars is super strong right now. It's very good. Mars is ridiculously powerful right now. It can punish early games where your opponent has a big hand, and it can punish late games when you're just hoping your opponent doesn't have 1 card, especially in like the mirror match or other. I mean, a lot of decks are playing a lot of supporters, a lot of cards that just kind of get stuck and don't get played down. And when that happens, late game Mars is great. I've in a lot of my decks that I do play Mars, I've been able to use Mars at, you know, on the very last turn of the game when my opponent still has 10 to 11 cards left in deck. And now I'm sending all their cards back. I'm giving them one and saying, all right, that one card needs to be the one you're looking for to win this game. I love the Mars right now, so I would try to make space for a Mars in here. Not sure where you find it, because again, not a GiraTina Darkrai main, but this is the list I play when I feel like I just need something simple, turn the brain off, and hopefully get some points. Now, this is a very fun one, but I do have issues with this deck. Sometimes I just want to go quick. Sometimes I just want to start doing 50 damage on turn 1. Really, the biggest problem with this deck is that if you're not doing 50 damage on turn 1, things start to fall apart. We're set up in a way to consistently be able to pump out the damage to do so. You might see that I'm not playing the Rotom speed in here. I'm not a fan of Rotom speed. I have never been a fan of Rotom speed. Or sorry, he's not Rotom speed. He's Rotom regular form, but he has that speed link ability. I've never been a fan of it. It does only 20 damage. Basically, every deck that I could be doing 20 damage to or would want to do 20 damage to then Cyrus it up plays so many heals that it just becomes inconsequential. And I'm using that attachment for turn on Rotom, and then he just gets knocked out in return. My opponent potions, and that's a wasted attachment. And you really can't have any wasted attachments in this deck. There's not a lot to go around because you need to be attacking and then also powering up the Arceus in the back. We have no form of energy acceleration. The only energy acceleration we have is preserving an attachment and using Dawn to set up that Arceus finally. But yeah, okay. So still just a fun deck to play. I like going Carnivine 50, 50, 50. It feels very, very good when you start Carnivine and find the Arceus on your first turn and are able to pull that off. I'm running the Heavy Gust. We got 2 Sabrina, 1 Cyrus. I love the Mars again. I like the red in here and the Dawn. The Dawn feels crucial to me. I see some of these Arceus Carnivine lists don't play Dawn. I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you do it consistently, to be honest. I feel like I need the Dawn in a lot of games just to get the Arceus powered up so I don't lose. So I love it. I really like the double cape in here. I would love room for a Rocky Helmet, but I actually removed the Rocky Helmet for the Dawn from the list I saw. I made a couple tweaks to it. And I like having the Farfetch here instead of the Rotom Speed, because while it's not optimal to be attacking with Farfetch over Carnivine, but I mean, like, we gotta find something to start swinging. We have, you know, what is it? 2, 4, 7 basics here. You're not going to find exactly what you need every single turn 1. So just to have another option. So now it's, you know, all right, 3 out of 4 games, I'm just going to start a Pokemon I want to that can attack. And if not, you know, I can start Shaman. I can maybe hit the X speed or the second Shaman to retreat it, blah, blah, blah. It just increases your odds of finding something that can start doing damage really, really early. And I like that. I like having the Farfetch over the Rotom for that reason. So again, this is a very fun deck. I'm not convinced that it's like one of the more powerful decks in the format, so I'm not like recommending use this, you'll destroy everything. It's just a fun deck I've been playing, so I thought I'd show you guys. In basically the same vein as Arceus Carnivine, if I just feel like I want a deck that can do 50 damage turn 1, this is another option I go for, and that's Skarmory Magnezone. Again, this doesn't feel like, oh, this is the most powerful thing in the world, because you're running into a lot of Darkrai GiraTina on the ladder, and the 50 just from Skarmory into a Darkrai or into a GiraTina, like, it's actually not that much. Sometimes Skarmory can get an early knockout on something, yes. Sometimes. But for the most part, your opponent is probably going to find that Rocky Helmet, throw it on the active. Now Skarmory's damaging itself and taking Darkrai damage, and also weaving in heals, so Skarmory ends up doing not a whole lot. It is fun to make your opponent go through three single prize Pokemon in order to win the game, but we also don't have like real big one-shot potential. This is kind of like, I'm hoping that Skarmory is able to do enough early aggression to win me the game, and then if not, Magnezone can pick things up on the end. But if your opponent just starts well and things are going their way, it's going to be really, really hard. You don't have the option to one-shot anything with this deck. Magnezone's only doing 110. That's just not enough for anything anymore. doesn't even come close. And since we're not playing Darkrai or anything, we can't boost that damage number. Even if we played red, we could get up to 130, which still, again, not enough. Not enough. You really need the Skarm re-entry damage on things. And yeah, again, the Darkrai GiraTina matchup just feels really scary, and that's what I'm running into a majority of the time. So I really only play this if I feel like I've gone on a stint or I haven't seen a lot of Darkrai GiraTina, and maybe I've been running into some, you know, some Sprigatitos and some Gyaradoses or whatever, and I'm like, all right, this deck will counter it. It'll just go fast, like too fast for them. I can weave in the Giovanni, maybe one-shot that Sprigatito turn 1, blah, blah, blah. That's when I'll play this deck. But for the most part, it's not something I'm regularly using. Just a fun list if I feel like the ladder's going one day and I'm running into one deck more than the majority, you know, the usual Darkrai GiraTina, then I'll play this list. So again, another not really recommending it. Just a nice thing to kind of have in your toolbox when you're playing on the ladder, in case you feel like you're starting to hit the decks that this one can deal with a little bit better. Me and Gyarados are in a bit of a toxic relationship. I don't know how I feel about the guy, but I'm here to show you the list. My main issue is when I start Origin Form Palkia, and then the game, like, leads me along, you know, strings me along a little bit, and puts a Misty in my hand, and I go, is it finally time? Is it finally my time to do what my opponents seem to always do? Can I get a turn 1 Origin Form Palkia? And then I get Misty for 0 heads, and I'm like, okay. So now I have an Origin Form here stuck in the active, and, like, we're not doing anything. I can't retreat him. I can't use 3 energy attachments to power him up. There's no way. I need to get my Gyarados online. So I have a toxic relationship with Gyarados. He's a fine guy. He's a good guy. The deck list, when it works, it works. And there's not a lot your opponent can do. Almost unwinnable game state for any deck is if you are able to set up, start Manaphy, power up Origin Form Palkia and a Magikarp at the same time, then pivot into the Origin Form Palkia with a Rocky Helmet on it. You're swinging for 60. You have that Rocky Helmet on, so you're saying, hey, if you attack enemy, this Gyarados is going to come and one-shot whatever just attacked the Palkia in return. And it's super, super scary. If it works. I have found that sometimes it doesn't work, and it's very, very sad. As far, you would think a stage 1 would feel a little bit more consistent, but from the games I played, really hasn't. We got the Gyarados. Now, I've seen some people go from the 2 Rocky Helmet to a 1-1 split of the Giant Cape. I still like the double Rocky Helmet, again, because that board set I just told you about is, like, so ridiculous. And it's also very nice to have a Rocky Helmet on the Gyarados. Force your opponent that if they're going to attack in a Gyarados, he's ready to then one-shot in return whatever's attacking him. I like the double Rocky Helmet. The Giant Cape might be nice in some situations. I mean, I guess the Giant Cape will prevent Gyarados from swinging into a Darkrai with a Rocky Helmet, and then your opponent's able to go Gyarados, Darkrai ping, red, one-shot the Gyarados in return. But you just kind of got to steer clear from that situation if you can. Those decks only have the 1 Rocky Helmet. You might just have to use a Sabrina to get around it. And try to win the game from there. But yeah, again, toxic relationship with Gyarados. I feel like I start that Origin Form Palkia way too often, but he's pretty necessary for the deck. You kind of need him there for some of the smaller single prize matchups. If you get a turn 1 Misties on him, it's just almost an auto win most of the time, because you're pumping out so much damage so fast your opponent can't really keep up with it, and then you're free to attach to your Magikarp on the bench. Yeah, good deck list. When it works, it works. When it works, it really, really works. But I've just had too many moments where Gyarados has broken my heart. So I still play it. I do play it. It's one of my more played decks for sure. But I do it's like ingrained in my brain. It's confirmation bias that I always start Origin Form Palkia and miss Misties. But yeah, if you're not doing that, it's a great deck. So here's the Gary list. Go play it. Again, there's not a lot of Hitmonlee going around, as I said earlier in the video. So Magikarp feels pretty safe right now. I'm not seeing Hitmonlee. So I think the Magikarps are safe. The only thing holding this deck back is like its own inconsistencies. Now, if my Rampardos deck worked as well as my opponents did, this would be all I played. I swear those guys get turn 1 Skull Fossil every game, man. Every game. But if I'm feeling like I just want to high roll, I just want to blow my opponent out of the water, I pick up Rampardos Lucario. This is a pretty straightforward list. I try not to get too techie with my Rampardos Lucario because I already feel like the deck is inconsistent enough on its own. I just want to play the cards that might get me to my game plan better. I feel like the other ones are just kind of win more. Like, think, for example, putting a giant cape in here. A giant cape, what, on my Rampardos or whatever. If I have the Rampardos, I pretty much already win. I don't need to give him more HP. He'll be fine without the giant cape. I just want to set up the Rampardos every game to actually give me a chance. Because without setting up the Rampardos, things get very, very scary. So that's the goal for this deck. Just be able to set up the Rampardos as consistently as possible. And through that, that's usually good enough to just win you the games outright. I like the Sudowoodo. Oh, another tech is that people put in like X-Beats or Leaf. Again, I don't know what you're trading for that. I'm not going to get rid of a Sabrina or a Cyrus. They're very, very important. I'm not letting go of that Iona. We already got rid of one communication for the Iona. I'm not doing it. People also have cut back. I've seen lists without a Marshadow. I've seen lists without a Sudowoodo. And that, to me, I don't know. I like having the toolbox of attackers. I like having the ones to pick from. Starting Sudowoodo against GiraTina Darkrai feels so good, man. You're just pumping out damage and get Lucario set up in the back to boost that damage even further. It feels great to me. I like this list. I don't have any problems. Again, as I'm playing games, it's not like, oh man, if I had this other card, I would have won. It's just like, hey, if I had found my Skull Fossil, I would have won. So let's try to limit that from happening as much as possible by throwing the Iono in. Give you another chance to find that Skull Fossil and get the Rampardo set up. Yeah, good time. Good time. I like the deck. Again, you'll have games where you don't find the Skull Fossil and it feels horrible, but when you do, man, oh my, you just run opponents off the board. So Rampardos is a lot of fun. I'm surprised, actually, it doesn't do as well at tournaments, but on the ranked ladder, it seems to be pretty good. I run into a lot of Rampardos. I have a lot of very troubling matchups against Rampardos. And when I play it, I seem to do fine. So I like Rampardos on the ranked ladder, especially this Lucario variant. I prefer it much more to the Hitmonlee version. Because when I get that Rampardo set up, I want him to be one-shotting Pokemon. Again, there's a lot of heals going on, so the Hitmonlee feels like it has lower value than ever. But yeah, high roll deck for sure, but it's a great time. I thoroughly enjoy it. I know what you did. You clicked the chapter just to see my favorite deck. Well, since I caught you, you got to subscribe to the channel. All right, what is my favorite deck? What is the deck I've been having the most fun with? What is the deck I've been having the most success with in Master Ball Ranked? And it might surprise you a little bit, but it's actually the day one. Charizard. This is actually the very first deck I ever built in Pokemon Pocket was Charizard. And this list is disgusting. This is so gross. I have won games in ways you can't even fathom. I have beat Darkrai GiraTina decks without ever using a Moltres, because that is just the game plan that was outlined to me. I love this deck. I love this deck. I am currently like, I think my win rate with this deck must be somewhere between 75 and 80%, just off the top of my head. I am just like going on a 4 to 5 win streak, losing one, getting right back on that win streak. It feels fantastic. So you see there's some differences here. No potions. I miss the potions. I do. I really do. But the double giant cape feels so good. The double giant cape feels so good. You put one giant cape on the Moltres and keep him from getting, there's just some damage numbers that the giant cape fixes on the Moltres, and then you're free to put it on the Charizard as well. Or I've had games where I've used 2 double caped Moltres, and I've pivoted between the two while I'm just waiting to find that Charizard. Now, I have been playing this list, and every single time I get out of the game, I'm like, oops, I forgot to make this change. I would honestly, after all the games I played, I feel like I'd rather have the Charmander that does 30 damage. Just for the possibility that I might be able to one-shot a Weedle against Sprigatito Beedrill. I might be able to one-shot a Magikarp. I don't attack with the Charmander. The Charmander has never come up once that the 20 damage, not discarding my energy, has ever come up. I just don't do it. What does the 20 damage matter? I'm setting up for Charizard to do 200. It doesn't, I don't feel like I need it. I would rather play the very first Genetic Apex variation of Charmander. I just haven't made the change yet because I'm stupid and I forget, and there hasn't been a game that I would have won if I had it and started it. But it's something I would rather have in here than this version. So just make that change when you go and build it for yourself. Also, I get to play the shiny one, so that's pretty cool. The Mars, oh my gosh, the Mars is ridiculous. The Mars is ridiculous. You save that guy for the end of the game after your opponent's knocked out a Moltres. Maybe you have something on the bench that you had to, you know, sometimes you have to go Moltres, Charmander, plus a Shaman, another Moltres, something just to block your opponent from being able to Sabrina the Charmander / Charmeleon / Charizard. And at the end of the game, they haven't used that Sabrina yet. Well, you know it's coming. You know it's a very real possibility they could have it because you haven't done anything to their hand. They're just sitting there with their 7-card hand. You got to reset it. You got to put it down to 1. So you use the Mars, send up the Charizard, and just kind of hope and pray. But it's not really hoping and praying because you're giving your opponent like a 20% chance to find the card they need. It feels amazing. No Sabrina in the list. Wow, I know. Crazy. No Sabrina. Haven't missed it. I like the Mars more. I just do. I like the Mars more. The double giant cape feels good enough. The double cape plus the Mars feels good enough to win me the games. I just prefer it. I much prefer it. One communication instead of double. Again, it's fine. I love having the Iono in here. I see a lot of Charizard lists not playing any Iono. Every time I play Charizard without Iono, feels so bad. Feels terrible. I don't like it. I feel like I need Iono in my Charizard. I don't know how you guys have been winning games without your Iono consistently. I'm totally lost on it. But this has been my favorite deck. This is what has gained me the most points by far. Again, I have a ridiculous win percentage with this deck. I love it. This is like all I'm going to play until Variant starts to bite me. But it hasn't yet. It hasn't yet. I got to go on a losing streak sometime soon because the game is very swingy like that. But I've been running hot with it, man. Charizard's my boy. That's why we're here. That's why we are where we are. Charizard is incredible. I love it. It's my favorite deck to play in Master Ball right now. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Again, if you are enjoying the content, please be sure to subscribe. Really helps out the channel. I'll see you on the next one.